brothers rock Jesus pieces, but they really don't know Jesus. Just know that he's the seed, and please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We'll never be defeated. Evil legions, all of these hidden demons. I know you see them scheming, please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We got the keys for these brothers rock Jesus pieces, but they really don't know Jesus. Just know that he's the seed, and please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We'll never be defeated. Evil legions, all of these hidden demons. I know you see them scheming, please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We got the keys to the keys to the.
But now, you was not on point saying you got to go pay your tithes. You understand that? We're going to deal with that. Deuteronomy. 14 and 22?
Deuteronomy 14 and 22. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed.
So, there's that word you use, Mel. It said, thou shalt, this is back, Old Testament, it said, thou shalt surely tithe. This was the law back then. Go ahead.
All the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God.
So, yeah. It said, thou shalt surely tithe thy what? Watch this, Mel.
Tithe all the increase of thy seed, and the field bringeth forth year by year.
So it's saying the increase of the field and the seed. Did you hear dollar bill money? You ain't hear that. Continue to read, watch.
And thou shalt eat before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn, of thy wine.
Man, watch. It said the tithe of thy corn, right?
Of thy wine, and of thy oil, and of the firstling of thy herds, and of thy flocks.
So, corn, wine, oil. What are these things? Are these things money? They're not. These are goods. These were goods we used to bring forth. Go ahead. And I'm going to give you the reason why, Rick.
That thou mayest learn to fear the Lord thy God always. And if the way be too long for thee.
So, the point was we had to bring that to Jerusalem. We had to bring that forth. It said if the way was too long for thee, what are we supposed to do? Watch.
So that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which the Lord shall choose to set his name there, when the Lord thy God hath blessed thee, then shalt thou turn it into money. So, I wanted to get this point because when we bring forth that tithes are really corn, oil, wine, first. And people say, oh, it's because there was no money back then. You heard that, Mel? They be like, yeah, you put the tithe of corn or oil because there's no money back then. But it said turn into what? Then shalt thou turn it into money. So we had money, but the tithe just wasn't to be brought forth as money. But it said if the way was too long for you, turn it into money, and then what? Put it in the pastor's lap? And bind up the money in thine hand? No, bind the money in your hand. Go ahead. And shall go unto the place which the Lord thy God shall choose. And we shall go into the place where the Lord thy God shall choose. According to 2 Chronicles 6 and 6, that land is Jerusalem. That's the place that God chose that we're supposed to bring forth the tithe. Go ahead. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. And it said you shall bestow that money to... What's up, my brother right here? We'll do it you in a second. It said you shall bestow that money after what, man? Did you hear that part? Whatever thy soul listens after. So you're going to buy what you want to get with that. Go ahead. For oxen, or for sheep, or for wine, or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth. And thou shalt eat there before the Lord thy God. And thou shalt rejoice thou and thine household. And the Levite. See, we write it down because nowhere are you reading you're supposed to ever take money and put it forth on the pastor's podium or in the altar or in the bucket or anything like that. Watch. And the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him. Because that was the point. It said, for the Levite that was within thy gates. My brother right here. What's your name? Lazarus. Hold up real quick, Lazarus. Don't go nowhere. Now, it said, because the Levite that was within thy gate should not be forsaken. Tithes were brought forth because, long story short, let's get Numbers 18:21. At the time when we was being split, we were saying, okay, Levi, you go here. The Lord is dealing with inheritance. Levi didn't have an inheritance. Their inheritance was dealing with the priesthood.
The tabernacle. That was what they had to deal with. So our tithe or our tenth of the goods that we had was to take care of the Levites. That's all it was. So you follow? It's not about giving pastors money, like they say today. That's nowhere in the Bible. Next time your pastor say that, are you a Levite? Do you have the tabernacle? Are we in the old? It don't work anymore. And if you really want something, throw a head of lettuce right on his jaw and say, there you go, that's your time. Here's some corn, here's some oil. That's your time. And give him a smile. And walk off and leave the Christian church. Read.
Numbers 18:21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance.
See that? That's the whole thing. Numbers 18 said he has given the children of, he gave the Levites the tenth of the children of Israel. That's where tithes come from. The tenth. But it's not the tenth of a dollar bill. It's the tenth of the goods. So I feel like we're beating a dead horse now. I feel like you understand. Lazarus, where you from, Lazarus? Where your dad from? Guatemala. Guatemala. So, you see yourself on this side? You sure? Where you at? On this side, this is what America calls you. On this side, this is what God calls you. What does God call you? Zebulon. Zebulon. That's great. You got no, how old are you, by the way? 18, okay. Young man. This is good information for you. Man, what's your nationality? Indian. What we just bring out? Did you read this sign? Did you hear these scriptures? What's your real name? What does God call you? I want to see if you retain it. God calls you what? There you go. You got to leave that alone. Never call yourself black, Indian, whatever you doing. God calls you what, man? God calls you what, Lazarus? Zebulon. Say that thing proud. Say that thing proud. Watch this. Genesis 32. Why are we proud to be the Israelites? What is behind that name? We're going to deal with you. Because we're trying to teach our people today, here, Lazarus, that the so-called, emphasis on so-called, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we're really the Israelites according to the Bible. You see that? Good.
Genesis 32:28. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob.
So this is when Jacob wrestled with the angel. He said, thy name shall be no more called Jacob,
but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God.
You hear that, man? You hear that, Lazarus? It says, but your name shall be Israel, because as a prince thou hast power with God. So we are proud to call ourselves the children of Israel, the children of Jacob, the princes that have power with God. There's power in the name. But I'm going to bring up the next teacher to further edify. Men of Israel, sons of God.
Rock Jesus pieces, but they really don't know Jesus. Just know that he's the seed and please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We'll never be defeated. Evil legions, all of these demons. I know you see them screaming, please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We got the keys. Why these brothers rock Jesus pieces, but they really don't know Jesus. Just know that he's the seed and please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We'll never be defeated. Evil legions, all of these demons. I know you see them screaming, please believe it. We got the keys to the kingdom. We got the keys to the keys to the.
Your name is what? Lazarus? At ease, y'all. At ease. How did your people get over here? let's take it further back. Let's take it further back. How did your ancestors get to this side of the world? Do you know? Have you ever been taught it? No? We're going to show you out the word. You have different ancestors? So who are your ancestors? So you just found out you was an Israelite, right? From the tribe of Zebulun. Watch. Watch. We're going to clear up that confusion today. Watch this. Read what you got.
2nd Ezra, chapter 13 and verse 40.
Bring it out!
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king.
So when you're looking at the chart, right, you got Judah, Benjamin, Levi, that's southern kingdom. From Ephraim down to Naphtali, that's considered northern kingdom. So you say you're from Zebulun. That means your ancestors was on this side of the world before the conquistadors got here and took it, right? We're covering how your ancestors, how all of our ancestors got to this side of the world first, because you all had the land first.
That's
Read what
right.
you got from the top.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners.
Carried away what?
Carried away prisoners
Okay.
out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king,
Read.
whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive,
Read.
and he carried them over the waters.
Read.
And so came they into another land, but they took this counsel among themselves.
So the wise men of Ephraim, Manasseh on down took counsel amongst themselves, saying, you know what? We got to do something because we can't keep God's laws under this captivity. Read.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
They going to leave what?
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen.
Now, mind you, for everybody listening, anybody outside of the nation of Israel are considered heathen.
That's right.
True Gentiles. They are not God's children.
That's
Read.
right.
And go forth into a further country,
They're going to go forth into a further country. Read.
where never mankind dwelt.
What will you call a place if nobody was ever there before? Is it new or is it old? If you ever walk into a house and nobody ever lived there, right? It's brand new. It's vacant, right? Nobody's ever been there. So they said they're going to do what?
And go forth into a further country,
They're going to go first into a further country. Read.
where never mankind dwelt.
Where mankind has never dwelt. That's key. Now watch. Read.
That they might there keep their statutes.
So what did they go to this new world for?
That they might there keep their statutes.
Because they wanted to keep the laws of God. That's why we out here teaching our people today. We have to repent and come back to the word of God.
That's right.
Which they never kept in their own land.
Because they couldn't certain laws we can't keep in this captivity today that we could keep in our own land, Jerusalem. Read.
And they entered the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river.
Where that sign at? Hold it up for the brother. Read.
And they entered into Euphrates
So they came through the Euphrates River, right? Read.
by the narrow passage of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go.
So to come from the old world, read, we came from over this side of the world. Now when you read, we came all the way through. Read.
For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
It took a year and a half to go from this side of the world to the new world. Read. Where never mankind dwelt. Somebody give me Azareth, the definition of Azareth. Somebody look that up for me. Read.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
The same region is called what?
And the same region is called Arsareth.
Now remember, before, when Christopher Columbus came to this side of the world, right? Was it people already here? It was people here already, right? So we just read that the 10 tribes of Israel said we're going to go and dwell where never mankind dwelt. But Christopher Columbus, when he came here, he said, I discovered the new world. How is it new if it's millions of people already over here?
Wake them up!
That's because your ancestors already traveled here.
That's right.
And he knew that already. Read that again. Read that last verse again.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
That same region is called Arsareth. Somebody got the definition? Watch this, brother. Let's see what the word Arsareth, what does it mean? What does it mean? Read.
This is the Jewish Encyclopedia.
So they have this in a Jewish encyclopedia. Read.
The name of the land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man.
It's far away from the habitation of man, meaning whenever mankind dwelt. It was the new world. Read.
In which the 10 tribes of Israel,
Which who?
in which the 10 tribes of Israel,
From Ephraim, you put it down, brother. From Ephraim down to Naphtali, were the 10 tribes of Israel. Read.
will dwell, observing the laws of Moses,
That's where they went to observe the laws of God. Read.
until the time of the restoration, according to 2nd Esdras 13 and 45.
Read.
Columbus identified
Who?
Columbus identified
The conquistador Christopher Columbus did what?
identified America with this land.
How do you think he knew exactly where to come? Because he knew that our people was already over here.
Bring it out.
The so-called Native Americans, the Apache Indians, all these terms they put on us, the original 10 tribes of Israel were Hebrews.
That's right.
Israel. Americans, when in actuality, we're the same people. We're going to get that. Watch this. Give me Deuteronomy 28 first. Matter of fact, I knew we was going to get that first. Then we're going to Deuteronomy 28. Is it? So it was Ezekiel. Find me that. We was oppressed together. Jeremiah, give me that. Yeah. Give me that. Watch this. Watch this. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 33.
This is what they don't teach us in church. This is what our pastors don't teach us. Watch what the Bible say. Read.
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel,
The children of Israel, read,
and the children of Judah
and the children of Judah are what?
were oppressed together.
When you look at our communities in D.C. right now, we are what?
Oppressed together.
When you go to Chicago, when you go to New York, when you go to L.A., when you go to all these different places, we are what?
Oppressed together.
It's obvious. That's why in every project is Latinos and African Americans. So-called. We are oppressed together. Is that it? Read.
And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go.
They don't want to let us go. Why? Because we're profitable to this place. We were brought here as slaves. Now watch this. 1492. Why is that a special date? You know what happened in 1492? 1492 was when Christopher Columbus touched down over here.
Bring it out.
1492 started the day of manslaughter, genocide to your people.
Bring it out.
But we celebrate that today. The world just celebrated that. It's called Thanksgiving. Watch this. Give me Deuteronomy 28, verse. I'm gonna start at 1. Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 1.
Watch this.
And it shall come to pass,
It shall surely come to pass. It shall come to pass. Read.
if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
So we shall hearken, meaning listening diligently to the Lord. Read.
to observe and to do all his commandments,
So it's not only wise for us to know the commandments, we must do the commandments as well. Read.
That's right.
which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high.
Are we set on high right now? No, we're not. Sis Mel, are we set on high right now? Are we in the high status right now in the world?
Wake them up.
No, we're not. So that tells you what? That we're not keeping the laws of God right now.
That's right.
Read.
Above all nations,
Above who?
above all nations,
If we was keeping the laws of God as an Israelite community, we would be what?
above all nations.
Bring it
And
out.
since y'all can see right now, as y'all admitted, we are not above all nations right now. Read.
Of the earth, and all these blessings,
All these what?
blessings,
Are we blessed right now as a nation? A little bit how? We got food, okay. You said what, family? Are we blessed as a nation? Meaning, do we have our own money? If you pull $1 out, is our face on it?
Bring it out.
Do we pay taxes? Do we pay mortgages? Do we pay rent?
tik-tok.
Do we pay bills? What happens if we don't pay the bill?
Bring it out.
They get cut off. We are not blessed. We
That's
are not
right.
in rulership right now. The fact that we out here on 13th and Columbia or 14th and Columbia having to teach the laws of God tells you, as a unit, we are not blessed.
Bring it out.
Read.
And all these blessings shall come on thee.
Like, look at this filth that we sitting here teaching in.
Bring it
Gun,
out.
pigeon droppings all over the place, dookie around the corner, drugs being sold, people being killed.
Bring it
That's
out.
not blessed. Read.
And overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Give me verse 15.
Verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken.
So he said, just like if we did hearken diligently, we would be blessed, right? Now he's saying what?
If thou wilt not hearken
Now look what happens if we don't listen. Read.
unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Read.
to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day,
Read.
that all these curse.
Are curses a good or bad thing? It's the opposite of a blessing, right? He said all these what?
Curses
Read.
shall come upon thee
Shall come upon the nation of Israel. Read.
and overtake thee.
Now if somebody overtook you, are you winning or losing the fight? You're losing. You're losing. We are losers out here in the world today. We have been overtaken with sins and curses.
Bring it out.
That's why we're in the conditions that we're in.
Work them up.
Read.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city,
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, meaning D.C., Chicago, L.A., Concord, all these different places, parts of Virginia, Baltimore, Maryland, all these different places we are cursed as a people. Read.
and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Cursed shall we be in the field. Back in the day, we was picking cotton. Hold it for me. Back in the day, we was picking cotton. I had our sisters out there, our aunts, our mothers,
Bring it
our
out.
daughters, our children, our babies. Read.
Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store.
When you look in our communities, do we own anything? No. Do we own this Target, Bed Bath & Beyond, Best Buy, and everything else? No.
Bring it out.
Did your people make the clothes in my back? No. We don't own anything as a people, right? Now, primarily the businesses in our community are what? You'll say the gas stations, carryouts, liquor stores. Do you ever see us own these things, though? Every other nation comes to our neighborhood and sells us stuff. We just spend our money, but we don't own businesses ourselves. We are cursed in the city. We are
Wake 'em
cursed
up!
in the field. Speed it up to today, we are the first fired, last hired. We the first hired, first to quit. We don't know how to keep a job.
Bring it out.
We are cursed in the field. Read.
Cursed 55. So that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he had nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates.
Before the conquistadors came to this side of the world, we were rich, we were wealthy. We had cities, we had functioning water, we had plumbing, we had all the things that they did not have as a people. You taught them how to bathe, you taught them how to hunt, you taught them how to clean themselves,
Bring
clean
it
their
out.
kids. They were filthy animals before they came here. But what they do when they came here, they brought sickness, they brought plagues.
Bring it
You know
out.
a nation is dirty, right? You know a nation is dirty when they can just give you their blanket and you all catch smallpox and die off.
Bring it out.
Just because they're dirty and filthy. These people are, and now we look at today's time, they wearing three-piece business suits. They have pastors, they teaching us how to serve God. They gave us this image.
Bring it out.
Then they took this image, made them fat, and called them Santa Claus. These are the people that we serve today. These are the people that came over here in 1492 and conquered the so-called Native American, the Gadites. These are the people today in 1619 who brought us over here from the west coast of Africa. The same people.
Bring it out.
The same exact people. Read on. 32. Verse 32. Watch this. Read.
Verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
our sons and our daughters shall be given unto another people. What does this look like to you? It look like slavery, right? It look like an auction. It look like an auction, right? Read it again.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people.
How? We were auctioned off as a people. To Sir Charles, Uncle Tom, all these different people. That's how our sons and daughters, they were just coming on the plantation, stripping our kids away from our mothers and our fathers. Read.
And thine eyes shall look.
Now all we can do is look and do what?
And fail with longing for them all the day long.
Why? Because we don't have no military might to go get our kids back. We didn't have the economical might to go get our kids back.
Bring it out!
We didn't have the military might to go get our kids back.
Teach!
Why? Because we in servitude till this day.
That's right!
Exactly. Now they call CPS on you. It's the same thing. It's the same principle.
That's
How did
right.
the police get started? The police force started from capturing slaves, policing slaves. Runaway slaves, exactly. They still do the same thing today. Everything that they're doing, everything that we see today is not new. None of this stuff is new. Give me verse, it's just modern. Give me verse 64. Watch this. Every time you gotta pay a mortgage, that's a reminder that you still in slavery.
That's right!
Read.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
Read.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
We were scattered amongst all people. When you look at this sign, we are still in all these places, scattered amongst all people. Read. Like the first slaves was actually brought from this side of the world to Spain when they got here.
Bring it out!
Read. From the one end of the earth even unto the other.
Because we want to know why. Why do the so-called Native Americans today or the Hispanics today, why are they speaking Spanish? That was not our first language.
Bring it out!
And if you Hispanics that be proud, like no, speaking Spanish is a slave tongue the same way speaking English is a slave tongue.
That's right!
Read.
And there thou shalt serve other gods.
We shall serve other gods. Say it again, sir. Exactly. These are the other gods that we serving today. This was never taught in the scriptures to serve as Jesus Christ.
That's right!
There's no description of this man as Christ in the Bible.
That's right!
Or God, or the angels, or the prophets.
That's
Sit down.
right.
Read.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Wood represents what? Christianity. The cross, the wooden cross. And what? It says wood and what?
And stone.
Now the stone, as we know, is the cobblestone. Islam. Being a Muslim. Wood and stone. Our ancestors didn't worship these things. That is garbage to the Most High. Give me the last
That's
verse.
right.
How did we get here? Exactly. Now, how did you all get taken to Spain? Did y'all fly? No. Watch this. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
Read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Egypt is synonymous for bondage or captivity or slavery. You read that in Exodus 20. Read.
With ships.
With what?
Ships.
So we were brought into captivity again with ships. So in 1619, we were brought from the west coast of Africa to the Americas. 1492, y'all was being brought from the Americas to Spain. So, you can sit it down. So when you look at it all in all, we're going through the same affliction, the same trials. They have you all speaking Spanish.
That's right!
They have us speaking English. We would never be able to break that that language barrier until now. To let us know that, look, we are the same people. That's why in the projects, we are always together. Everywhere you go, we're being afflicted together. The primary demographic in the prisons is what? Latinos and African Americans.
Bring it out!
Why are we always suffering together? We brought it out earlier. Let's get it again. Jeremiah, let's get it again. One more to be drilled into our heads because for so long we look at each other as different people when that's not the case. That's not the case. We are far beyond being separate people. They giving us all these different titles. We the same people, man.
That's
Read.
right!
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33.
Bring it out!
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel
The children of Israel. Read.
And the children of Judah
And the children of Judah, Benjamin and Levi, read.
were oppressed together.
We get gunned down what?
Together.
We go into jail what?
Together.
We get oppressed what?
Together.
That's what God says.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold, from Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.
With that being said, I'm going to ask you this. Do you celebrate Christmas? Not religiously? So if your family invited you over for Christmas, would you go? Probably. Just to see them? Right. So yes, you can just say yes straight up. Watch this. Get Jeremiah 10.
Jeremiah 10 verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you.
Oh, I'm going to ask you one more question. Does God tell you to celebrate Christmas? What is the celebration of Christmas?
Bring it out!
It says the birth of our Christ? Of Christ. Birth of Jesus, right? That's supposed to be what Christmas is? So what if I tell you that Christmas is being celebrated hundreds of years before Christ even came?
Bring it out!
Would you believe? Let's see what the Bible say. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 1.
Bring it out!
Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
O house of who?
Israel.
Okay.
Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
He starts off by saying, don't learn the ways of the heathen that's around you.
That's right.
Meaning the so-called white man today.
That's
Esau,
right.
Edom. Don't learn the ways of these men. Read.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
Don't be dismayed at the signs of heaven. Read.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
But because the heathen don't have no God, they worship anything. Read.
For the customs of the people are vain.
The customs of the people are vain. Read.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
For this particular custom Jeremiah is talking about, right? He says they cut a tree out of the forest. Read.
The work of the hands of the workmen with the axe.
Read.
They deck it with silver and with gold.
So what do they do with this tree?
They deck it with silver and with gold.
What are we talking about?
Bring it out!
What does it sound like we describing?
Bring it out!
I'm asking.
Make it plain!
If you're decorating a tree with silver and gold, what are you celebrating? You're celebrating Christmas, right? Hold that. Give me Deuteronomy 7 and 24.
Bring it out!
Watch this. Give me Deuteronomy 7 verse 24, and we're gonna read 25. Watch this. This is very plain. It gets no plainer than what Jeremiah 10 is bringing out right now. Watch this. Read.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 24.
Bring it out!
Come on. Read.
Verse 24. And he shall deliver verse 25. The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire, and thou shalt not desire the silver or gold that is on them.
You hear what God said? Read it again.
The graven images of their gods shall ye burn with fire.
The graven images of their gods, like this depiction of Jesus Christ as false, we supposed to do what?
Burn with fire.
You know what else is a graven image? Having a tree in your house, putting silver and gold on it.
Read, thou shalt not desire.
We shall not desire these things. Read.
The silver or gold that is on them.
That is on them. So that means the graven image is the tree itself. It says, don't desire the silver or the gold that you put on them. Read.
Nor take it unto thee.
Nor do what?
Take it unto thee.
Read.
Lest thou be snared therein.
Read.
For it is an abomination.
It's what?
An abomination.
God says it's an abomination. The whole custom is abominable. It's detestable.
Read. To the Lord thy God.
Read.
Neither shalt thou bring an abomination into thine house.
Neither shall you do what?
Bring an abomination into thine house.
So what are you doing with a tree?
Bring it out.
You're bringing it into your house, and then you're decorating it with the silver and the gold of the graven images. All these things have principles. It's not. They don't make these customs up for nothing.
That's right.
It's a sin. Read.
But thou shalt utterly detest it.
Detest it. You should hate it. It should be disgusting. My parents and my family know not to invite me to no Christmas no more. They know not to invite me to Thanksgiving no more because I detest these things.
That's right.
Read.
And thou shalt utterly abhor it.
You should utterly hate it. Read.
For it is a cursed thing.
It's a cursed thing. And we wonder why we're at the bottom of society. It's because we bringing trees in our house and we worshiping them.
Bring it out.
Now watch this. Watch this. It's idolatry, exactly. Go back to Jeremiah 10. Let's finish. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 3.
Read.
For the customs of the people are vain.
It's vain, meaning it has no meaning. It's useless. Read.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
Read.
The work of the hands of the workmen
Read.
with the axe. They deck it with silver and with gold.
So what we're going over right now says it's Christmas. They deck it with silver and gold. They bring it into their house. Read.
They fasten it with nails.
Read. Nowadays they got a little stand you put the tree in. Read.
And with hammers, that it move not.
Read.
They are upright as the palm tree.
Back in the day in Babylon, this is Jeremiah. Babylon they used palm trees. America used evergreen trees. Read.
But speak not. They must needs be born.
Why must Jeremiah tell the people that these trees can't talk? Because the worship is behind. It's all about Nimrod.
Bring it out.
It's the birth of Nimrod. It's idolatry, like you said earlier. But the Christian church, the Catholics, they mask idolatry as Christianity and say, you know what? Let's just adopt these customs and let's instead of making it, because it used to be called Saturnalia, when they were putting people to death. But now let's say, you know what? Let's instead of making it the mascot be a demon with a little black slave as his mascot, how about we make it a big fat white jolly man who delivers presents to people?
Bring it out.
Most of our people in our communities don't even have chimneys, but yet we believe that Saint Nick is coming down our chimney to give us presents.
Wake 'em up.
White man ain't